I finally understood that I was in the middle of a Nirvana reunion.
It was December of 2012 when Sir Paul McCartney joined former Nirvana members Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, and Pat Smear on stage. It was a benefit gig held in New York for the victims of Hurricane Sandy. McCartney introduced Grohl, Novoselic, and Smear, and the band launched into their original song, Cut Me Some Slack. The collaboration came about when Grohl called up McCartney and he asked him to come and jam with some of his mates, and Paul McCartney had no idea that those mates were going to be Chris Novoselic on bass, Pat Smear on guitar, and Dave Grohl playing the drums. In other words, a large chunk of Nirvana.
I think people were expecting us to do like a Beatles song or a Nirvana song, but when I first called Paul to see if he would come jam with us, none of us wanted to do a Beatles song or a Nirvana song. We wanted to do a new song. So we wrote and recorded a new song in a day, and it's heavy as f***.
The song was written for Grohl's documentary Sound City. And at the 56th Grammy Awards, the song Cut Me Some Slack won the award for Best Rock Song.
And we knocked this out in a couple hours, and to me, that's what rock and roll is all about.
So even though it would have been really cool to have seen the guys from Nirvana and Paul McCartney actually do a Nirvana song, that would have been awesome, it was still really cool just to see Paul McCartney playing with the members of Nirvana, right? But it's bigger than that. It goes way deeper than that, because Kurt Cobain, when he was a kid growing up, and all throughout his life, but especially when he was growing up, he was a massive Beatles fan. He was a huge fan of the Beatles. The Beatles influenced Nirvana with their melodies, etc. big time. Kurt was a huge fan of the Beatles. That is well known.
Well, did you listen to that?
Whatever I could get a hold of. Usually my aunts would give me Beatles records. So for the most part I just had Beatles records, and every once in a while, if I was lucky, I was able to buy a single,
yeah.
You know.
Did you like the Beatles?
Yeah.
So yes, Kurt did like the Beatles, no doubt about that, and he has publicly stated that his favorite Beatle was John Lennon. So now here kind of goes the funny part. Even though Kurt was a huge fan of the Beatles, he's actually quoted as saying that he didn't like Paul McCartney. That's what he said. The quote goes, "I like the Beatles, but I hate Paul McCartney. I like Led Zeppelin, but I hate Robert Plant. I like The Who, but I hate Roger Daltrey." So that's just kind of a funny twist on the story. You had Paul McCartney, who Kurt supposedly didn't like so much. He ended up playing in Kurt's band, so that's kind of ironic or something like that, right? But it was still cool to see that crossover, right, between like the Beatles, old school legendary band, and Nirvana. Just cool to see that crossover. And that song they did, Cut Me Some Slack, sounded really cool too. So there you go, guys. Just another little piece of Nirvana history. The time that Paul McCartney fronted Nirvana. Hope you guys enjoyed checking that one out. Be sure to leave us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, consider becoming a member of the channel. There's more information on that down below, and we'll catch you on the next one, guys.
It's a great privilege to play with Paul McCartney, and it's always a blast to get together with Dave and Pat.